Hey guys, Tim and Brandon here with the Hindle team. This week's topic on our Q&A Thursday is how to buy a home before I'm ready.
So we're actually going to cover 10 different ways that you can do this, or 10 different things for you to focus on. The first of which is buying with your parents or crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is a great way to build up your down payment if you don't have it yet. So if you qualify for homes but you don't have enough saved up yet, or it's a little harder for you to save up, then crowdfunding is a great way to actually get the down payment and get into the market sooner. And there's a few different services online you can use to do that. Just do a quick Google search. With buying with your parents, when we say this, we typically say you're looking at co-signing or you're looking at them giving you some money for the down payment. So co-signing with your parents means they're actually co-signing on the mortgage, which makes you much more likely to be able to afford it because now they've got additional incomes on the record as well. Or you look at them giving you some money for the down payment. When we say this, typically it's usually from taking from what your inheritance might be, or if your parents were looking at giving some money to your kids. It's a great way for parents to actually help you get into the market sooner.
Yeah, definitely. Another great way to do it is looking for rent-to-own properties. So the way this works is typically, you can find services on Google like this, but an investor will purchase the home, and what you will do is you'll be slowly paying it off. It'll be like a rental to start with, and typically this works for people who might have lower income right now, but they're expecting a raise in the future, so they would qualify for the home at a later date, or people who might have a bad credit rating for whatever reason it may be, and they just need a few years to fix it up to qualify for that kind of mortgage on their own. So typically, you're going to be paying off similar to the way you would be for a mortgage, but it'll be a rental payment, and part of this payment actually does go towards the principal on the home. So although you are renting per se to begin with, you are making payments towards the home and your future home. So it's a great way to do it, and it is a home that you're going to be eventually buying yourself. It's just the renter is collecting part of this property value and making a bit of money themselves as an investment. So it's a great way to kind of break into the market a little bit earlier, if you have that potential income for the future, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So that's one way to use an investor to help you get into a home sooner. Another way to get into a home sooner is by actually becoming an investor yourself. So buying a home with income potential, if you are looking at homes and you might not be able to afford the full mortgage payment, or you'd be breaking even, then buying a home with income potential is a great way to start. And really, I suggest anyone that's buying their first home look at buying a home with income potential, because helping cut back on your mortgage costs by renting to someone is phenomenal. And getting into real estate through that, which is what we call a house hack, is a great way to actually make some extra money and a great way to build towards your financial freedom. So buying a home with that income potential, so whether it's through adding a suite in the basement or renting out rooms or Airbnb, whatever it happens to be, look at buying a home with income potential. It's a great way to reduce your costs every month and a great way to get into real estate investing as a whole.
Yeah. Now, the fourth one is a little bit of obvious for most people, but it's something that's often overlooked. And that's just buying with family or friends. So typically people look, and as Brandon was mentioning, you can use your parents as a co-signer. But another way of doing it is just having them go into the home with you. So you can buy the house split 50-50 or however you want to break it down. But you can purchase this home with them. That way both of your names are on title of this home and both of your incomes are considered. So if you guys are, slightly less off than your parents, obviously, it's a great way for them to supplement it that way. They can cover the down payment and you guys cover the mortgage payments over on a monthly basis. Just doing something like that and coming to some sort of agreement between yourselves, you can get into the market a lot sooner and save yourselves maybe 5, even 10 years depending on how you're doing it. So it's a great way to get yourself in a little bit earlier and start building some kind of future for you and your family.
Yeah, and kind of going to more of the creative and out there ideas that you can try. The next thing up is really buying a home long distance and renting it out, and then renting where you actually want to live. So you might not be able to afford a home where you are. For instance, this is a great example of my sister-in-law. She can't afford a home in the market we're in right now, but what she could do is go out to a further market somewhere like St. Catharines, for instance, and buy a home there, renovate it, and rent it out. So now you're getting that rental income, so you're becoming a real estate investor, and that home's paying for itself and then making extra money. So now you own a home, you get all the benefits of owning a rental property, which include building up your principal and increasing your and building towards your financial freedom. And then what you can do is you can use that extra income from that property and the income you're making from your job to rent where you want to live, because renting where you want to live will always be a lot cheaper than if you're actually buying where you want to live.
Yeah, definitely. Another great way of doing it is, I know we talked about this previously in one of our quick tips, but it's a vendor take-back mortgage. So, obviously you've spoken to the homeowner previously and discussed this, but they're actually keeping some of the equity that they do have in this home already and using that towards part of your down payment. So this is a great way of doing it because, if you do have that income potential, but you're just lacking in terms of your down payment, rather than putting 20% down or 10% down, whatever the number may be, they can cover up to roughly half of that, let's say, and get you into that home sooner rather than having to wait a little bit longer and save up some money to put that down payment. So great little way of just saving yourself a bit of time like that.
Yeah, and so the next one up is upgrading your home and using the 5-year rule, as we call it. So a lot of people, unfortunately, look at buying a home and they go, okay, I want to buy my dream home, and that's what they look at. And when they go, okay, well, I can't afford my dream home, they move on. Instead of thinking of some different creative ways they can get into the market or thinking of buying a smaller home. So, for instance, when we say this, it could be buying a condo. At first, or buying a small home like a townhouse or something like that, which might not be your idea of your dream home, but it gets you into the market, and it's a lot more affordable. So buying this home and then using the 5-year rule and upgrading to new homes every 3 to 5 years. So when we call it the 5-year rule, generally speaking, that's your breaking point from where it makes sense to have just rented versus owning. So, and that 3 to 5 years is where it usually makes sense to actually buy a home versus renting. You'll make more money that way. And so buying a smaller home and then upgrading to a larger home might not even be your dream home, but might be a semi-detached instead, or a bungalow. And then upgrading to your dream home after that is a great way to get into the market now and to build your financial freedom and build up your wealth by buying smaller homes and purchasing the bigger homes later on. And as you upgrade as well, you'll build more equity in your home versus having just paid rent to a landlord. You'll build up more equity in your home, which can go towards your down payment for the next home.
Yeah, definitely. The next one is kind of an amalgamation, and this can be used in multiple different ways. But typically, it's just shopping at the right time. So looking at houses that have potentially been on the market for a longer period of time that you can probably negotiate them down on price a little bit. Or shopping specifically in the winter because it's a slower season. Less people are looking, so potentially if they're in a hurry to sell their home, they're going to be willing to drop the price in that way too. So a home you might not originally qualify for or be able to make the down payment for, you now become able to make that. So it just saves you a little bit of time that way. You can kind of fix it up. It's still a beautiful home. It might be worth more in the springtime already. It's just they need to get it done, and they're willing to negotiate that price down just to get the home off their hands.
And part of shopping at the right time as well is, like Tim said, you want to be kind of timing it in terms of like shopping in the winter and shopping when other buyers aren't shopping. And when I say that, I mean focusing on when are other buyers typically putting in offers. They're usually putting them in on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays after they've seen a home. If you're finding a home that you like and then putting an offer in on, say, a Monday or a Tuesday when not a lot of people are putting offers in, then you've got that whole week to negotiate and get that seller to really get on board with your plan on buying the home.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and then next up we're actually going to talk about negotiating. A big way to get into the market sooner than you're able to is by having a good professional on your team who's great at negotiating. Someone who uses multiple prongs and uses different techniques and strategies to try and get you the best possible price for your home purchase. So typically a lot of people just think of the price. That's all they think about. They think, okay, here's where they are, here's where I am. Okay, so we want to roughly get to about the middle. You have to use multiple prongs so that you can get closer to your side than their side. And that's using things like the closing date. If you can buy immediately and they need 30 days to close, you can use that. You can use the closing date to actually get you a better deal on your home, because when you let them win on the closing date, then they'll give you a little more value in terms of the price. So having someone who can negotiate on your side is a great way to get into the market sooner, because they can get you that better deal on the home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the last point is a continuation of that one for the most part, but it's choosing the right realtor to be able to do that for you. Like we said, you don't want someone who's going to sit down, just look at the price, and only be willing to negotiate that. But finding someone who understands how negotiations work, who's able to read the other party a little bit better than you might be able to do yourselves, and find what points are their real pain points, right? Finding what they are willing to negotiate on and what they are willing to kind of potentially sacrifice or make concessions on is a great way of managing to get that home a little bit sooner.
Mm-hmm. And having that realtor or having that team on your side who really understands the different creative ways to get you a better deal on your home and get you into the market sooner. And honestly, talk to realtors. If you might not be able to afford a home now, but if you talk to someone, they can help build you a plan to get into the home you want to get into sooner rather than later. So if you are someone like this, if you are looking to buy a home, but you're not quite ready or you don't think you qualify yet, reach out to us. We'd love to sit down, build you up a plan, and figure out how we can get you into a home sooner rather than later. And if you have any questions about any of the topics we've talked about, we can go a lot more into depth on them. So please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd love to talk about it with you.
Yeah, have a great day, guys.
Take care.